is pretty well equipped, and one of the reasons they don't get the storm surges, they're just an island as opposed to where a coastline can kind of hold all that water and hug it as a storm comes in. So that's what makes things a little bit different. For Bermuda, there hasn't been that many landfalls. You'd think where Bermuda is located, they've had a lot of landfalling hurricanes, but remember, the definition of that is for the eye to get over Bermuda. So we've actually only had 11 that have made landfalls, some rain as it collides with a cold front, and ultimately our story will be that this is what's driving it away. So that steering pattern there gets caught up in the jet stream and the flow, and it will take it into the North Atlantic. From there, actually, it's moisture and energy as a tropical rainstorm will have some impacts on the United Kingdom. More stormy here with the pattern throughout the Pacific, a series of tropical disturbances. We're going to have to keep a close eye for Hawaii as we go towards the end of the week, because there could be a few tropical systems in the Pacific that could take aim towards Hawaii. Most of them probably staying to the south with those trade winds trying to keep them a little farther to the south. But this will have some impacts as far as surf is concerned. And like I said, we'll have to keep a close eye here in the Pacific. The Pacific finally catching up after a very slow start. We've already cruised through about 6 names so far this season, so we are likely to see some more names this week. And speaking of hurricane season, let's talk a little bit more about Atlantic hurricane season. Don't let the guard down in the southeast. The good news is, though, at least for the upcoming days, we are just dealing with some localized weather, nothing coming from the Atlantic.
Yeah, no widespread heavy rain, though some of the storms could produce some moderate to heavier rain at times, and that could exacerbate some of these issues that we've.
About the heat, here it has been hot. We really don't get any relief.
Weekend here in the north central states, if we look at where that high is, well, it's holding on, and that you're going to see it manifested in the forecast here across a lot of the north central.
Ernesto gave us some pretty interesting sights across places like Puerto Rico, also the nation of Bermuda, which actually had its 12th landfall of a tropical system. Now, Bermuda is no stranger to tropical systems, but to get the center of the storm to go over the nation, which is pretty small in size in the middle of the Atlantic, it can be a hard feat. So we have now added that. As Ernesto lifts northward away from Bermuda, it is trying to strengthen a little bit. The question is, how quickly of a timeline does it strengthen before it catches up to the jet stream, which will be pulling it away from Atlantic Canada and steering it, of course, away from North America in general. So we will see that taking it out to sea, streaming it across the northern Atlantic. From there, it's going to venture its way to the UK. So for Ireland, Scotland, even parts of England, we're going to be dealing with rain and wind here, which means, you know, maybe some of those football or soccer games, as we sometimes call them in the United States, they will have some impacts here as we talk about the wet weather Wednesday night into Thursday across the UK especially. So those are the changes with the Atlantic season. I do want to hit on the Pacific season because things are just starting to fire up here. We've actually had a couple of named storms. It was a slow start to the season, but we ramped up during the course of Debbie and Ernesto to F. And what we will be watching is soon to be a pretty busy time. You can see where we're monitoring at least 2 waves, maybe even more throughout this week of developing into tropical systems. And unfortunately, these could come close to the nation, to the state of Hawaii. So we'll have to deal with some impacts here with added wind across the area.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking with us here on AccuWeather Weekend. Of course, we're covering it all, including the southeast. Now, the city, amazing story there. Switching gears, let's take you to the south and to the central U.S. High pressure in control. It is hot. That's the best way to describe this weather pattern, and we haven't been able to shake the extreme heat. Now, it is going to stay mostly dry, so that's not going to help things much, especially when you have that sun beating down on you and you have those dew points, well, sitting right in that sticky sector between 60s, 70s, and even upwards to 80 with our dew points. So widespread highs going to be running in the 90s and triple digits. Those daily record highs, of course, challenged. And if we look at for today, Dallas, your AccuWeather real field temperature is past 110 degrees. We're sitting at 111 by this afternoon. Just goes to show you how intense this heat is and that we're not playing around. Please make sure that you are staying hydrated with water and taking plenty of cooling breaks. If you do have to head out, try to seek shade, though you're not really going to catch too much. You're not going to catch too much relief there when it comes to the temperature with your AccuWeather real field shade temperature at 105, but at least maybe you'll get out of the sun. AccuWeather real field temperatures past that triple-digit threshold are going to extend across a lot. Thanks, Allie. All great tips there. Now, maybe this is your last week or at least one of the last few weeks before school starts, and it's still going to be hot. We're not going to be able to really shake these hot temperatures. Dallas, you're sitting in the triple digits here Monday, Tuesday, even Wednesday. Though I know it's been a little wet over the past weekend in the Northeast. Thankfully, though, it hasn't been a washout, though some of these areas are already hit hard by the storms that we saw last week and even Debbie drenching these areas. So any storms that we get anymore could cause some problems there. It's not going to take much for maybe some flood-prone areas to see some high water. So that's something that you should certainly be weather aware about as we do head into Monday, though anywhere that you see shaded could still see a few storms. Unfortunately, for Monday, during the day and during the evening and night hours, we are tracking that threat for severe weather up and down that I-95 corridor, though your accurate local storm max is even higher at 75 miles per hour. High pressure building in across the Great Lakes. It's mild and less humid there. That's going to catch up to the northeast even as we head into Tuesday. You'll note still a few spotty showers there along the coast, but we'll have several cooler intrusions that's going to help bring that humidity down. Overall, temperatures